Hi boys, it's Miss Parlavecchio here, and I am having a screen recording on a newer lesson that we have not done together. I believe Block B, I showed you the YouTube video, and we did a few examples, but Block A and D, I'm not sure if we did this. Again, not my favorite place to leave off while we are on a break, but please be proactive in taking notes during this video and also watching the YouTube video that I'm going to post, which goes right along with this example. He also teaches the same way, and it might be more helpful for some of you to see a different teacher actually demonstrating it on the whiteboard. So what we're doing is factoring expressions. We want to come up with the two binomials that when we FOILed them would have given me x squared plus 8x plus 15. The method I like to use is drawing a giant X, or in the video he refers to it as like an X-man. So you draw out an X, and then we're going to figure out how to set up two terms that would have given us this expression. So the first thing you want to think of is this middle term. Now I want to think about what two numbers when they were added together would give us positive 8. So on the top, I always start with the adding. Then those same two numbers that added up to equal 8, when they're multiplied together, have to equal the last term, which is 15. So on the bottom, I always put the multiplication of 15. And I'm putting MULT to signify multiplying. The easiest thing that I have come up with on how to figure out what those numbers are is I just start listing factors of 15. So the first thing I know is 1 times 15 equals 15. However, 1 plus 15 doesn't equal 8. So I know those don't work for this example. Then I'm going to move on to another factor, 3. 3 times 5 equals 15. And I also notice 3 plus 5 equals 8. So those are the solutions that I want to fill in for like the arms of this X-man drawing. And those are the two numbers I'm going to use to create binomials. So what I do is I create a first set of parentheses. I'm going to have x plus positive 3 since we're not dealing with any negatives yet. And then in the second term, I'm going to have x plus 5, which is the second number we wrote down. And this means that these two binomials here, when multiplied together or when we use our FOILing, will give us the expression x squared plus 8x plus 15. And that's how we're going to factor these equations. In the next example, for n squared minus 5n plus 4, I am throwing in a negative. So when we draw our x, do not forget to include that negative sign because it's very important. So when we add two numbers together, they have to equal negative 5. And when we multiply those same two numbers together, they have to equal positive 4. Now I know you're thinking, how do we get a positive multiplication number and a negative sum? You have to think of two negative numbers multiplied together equal a positive. So we know the arms on our X-man should be two negative numbers. So let's start listing factors of 4 and throwing some negative signs in front of them. So I know negative 1 times negative 4 will give us positive 4. And does negative 1 plus negative 4 equal negative 5? Yes. Turns out we didn't really have to do too much listing at all. Those worked right away. And we are just going to take now those two numbers and have n minus 1 times n, sorry, it's so messy, minus 4 as our two binomials that when multiplied together will give us this expression here. It does become more difficult when there's negatives, so just do what you know. I see a positive multiplication sentence. I'm either multiplying two positive numbers or two negative numbers together, and we know if they're positive or negative based off this plus or minus sign here. In the last example, I switched the last term to be negative. So when we draw out our x, the sum is going to be positive 4 and when multiplied together, I'm just going to ignore that, they're going to equal negative 45. So now at this point you should be thinking, I need a positive number and a negative number. Because of that, negative 45 means a positive and a negative multiplication sentence. Now to get positive 4, I hope you're realizing that you should probably think about having a greater positive number and the negative number being a little bit smaller. Because when you add a big positive number plus a small negative number, the number should still stay positive. So thinking of factors of 45, there's going to be quite a few, so we'll just start from the beginning. We have -1 and 45. Is -1 times 45 equal to -45? Yes. But does -1 plus 45 equal 4? No, that doesn't work, even if you switch the negative to the 45. So I'm going to move on. We have 3, or -3, and +15. -3 times 15 does equal -45, but -3 plus 15 does not equal 4. So that doesn't work. Moving on to the next factors. -5 and 9. -5 times 9 equals -45, and -5 plus 9 equals +4. So that's how I know that those are the two numbers I'm going to choose for my binomials. If you weren't sure which to make negative, and you had accidentally said -9 and +5, your sum would have been -4, so at that point you should process of switching the negative sign to the different number. So now we're just going to write out our two binomials again of b minus 5 and b plus 9. And that's our factored expression. I hope this video was helpful. I'm sorry my handwriting is not so great. Please watch the other YouTube video that I'm going to provide. Please utilize Khan Academy to the best of your ability. I know you boys can handle this, and I wish you the best of luck on our move towards newer lessons that we have not done together in class.